George the Giant Slayer. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you doing? Thank you for having
Yeah,
me on.
good. Thanks for asking. It's our pleasure. Maybe you can just start by letting people know what you do.
Well, I have a YouTube channel called George the Giant Slayer. I started it about almost 2 years ago because I was a kidnap survivor and I wanted to be able to bring content that focuses on culture, news, also what's going on in Hollywood, because as we know today, that culture sets the trend for what goes on in politics. Politics is downstream of culture. And I wanted to be able to frame it by going after those who would place themselves as giants over the world and trying to rule our lives.
There's a lot going on there, George, and I'm glad you're so open about it. So, I mean, you've tapped into an interest of mine there. I'm a massive movie buff. I'm very interested in pop culture. I'm very concerned about the wokeification of our favorite franchises and outlets. Probably not as into it as you. I don't have an impressive Christian Bale Dark Knight era statue behind me or swords on the wall, but I am jealous of those things. So maybe you can tell me how. I mean, the fact that you started with saying that you was the victim of a kidnapping, is that
Yes,
something you're?
when I was 7 years old, I wrote a couple of books about it a long time ago. It was from my father. It was after my parents had divorced, and he was angry at her and thought that taking a 7-year-old up high into the mountains of Greece would draw her to come. And because I would refuse to bend to his will, he wanted me to say that I hated my mother. And when I refused to do that, he was abusive. So it lasted for about a year. And then my mother's family, my grandparents, rescued me.
Well, I'm very glad to hear you came through that,
Oh, yeah.
relatively unscathed at least. But I mean, that must have been. I mean, do you have a kind of vivid memories of that time as a 7-year-old?
Absolutely. That's why I wrote a whole book about it. No, I do. It was day in and day out. It was about the things that kept me alive. A lot of people ask, like, what does a grown man have doing with different statues, even though I focus on pop culture. But one of the things that kept me going were the memories that I could hold on to of America. Saturday morning cartoons, the heroes, how they would act and they would behave. And that kind of kept my mind focused. As a 7-year-old, this is me now reflecting back. It's like I wouldn't be sitting here thinking like, what would Superman do? But I would think about him or Batman or Captain America. And like, I want to be like that. And that kept me going from day to day and refusing to break.
Well, I suppose I'll ask the hard-hitting question straight
Mm.
off the bat, and it's a very important question, and that's what did you think of Matt Reeves's The Batman?
I enjoyed the first hour and 35 minutes. And I think that's where it should have ended.
I'm so glad you said that because I thought we were ready to start picking a fight here
No,
because
no.
I'm a huge fan of the Bat. I'm kind of like a Miller Dark Knight Returns
Oh, I'm
kind
same
of
way.
fan. That's my jam when it comes to Batman. But I was quite bored and not particularly thrilled with the characterization of our Lord and Savior Bruce Wayne. Okay, so just kind of pivoting a little bit to pop
Mhm.
culture and where we are now in terms of how studios kind of feel they can't just give us entertainment and well-written characters, diverse characters in a way that we understand it from the films in the 80s. They feel like they have to kind of push a message. And I think I'm just wondering what's changed to make studios think that's a good business strategy.
Well, I don't think they believe it's a good business strategy. As a matter of fact, you'd have Bob Iger, who recently, I mean, I'm sure you saw that, what Elon Musk said after Disney was boycotting them, doing an advertising boycott. He gave his great answer. Bob Iger was at that same platform. And in that platform, he stated, okay, I'm paraphrasing, we've gotten the message. We're no longer going to focus on the message, the social message. We're going to get back to entertainment. Except 7 days prior to that, Disney put out their Securities and Exchange Commission 10K filing report. In it, it gives all the warnings, all the risk factors of buying their stock for current or future shareholders. And it states specifically in legalese that we will continue to push a social justice and environmental message, and that may risk our profits, but we're not stopping. So they believe that their duty to their crusade, the woke crusade, is more important than profits. At the same time, they believe that they're not coming after you and I. They're looking at the kids. They hope that they can have the money to last long enough to win that race before they go bankrupt. Because remember, Disney is a massive corporation. People forget that Disney Studios is probably the tiniest aspect of their whole empire, except for the fact that it's the mouth. It's the brand recognition. People don't go, okay, I think of Disneyland or ESPN or ABC and go, that's Disney. No, you think of the movies. You think of Mickey Mouse. You think of Captain America. And when that pollutes everything else with its message, it destroys the company.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel there's a kind of revisionist aspect to a lot of this? Because there's a lot of people talking about strong female characters or, you know, black leads in films as if like the kind of 80s and 90s never happened. I mean, Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time. I never really considered it as a strong female lead. It was just an amazing character, a completely, you know, wonderfully made film. I rewatched Beverly Hills Cop the other day, the first one. I've not seen that since a teenager. I used to want to be Eddie Murphy watching it.
Oh yeah.
And it just occurred to me rewatching it, in fact, actually, that the entire movie is built around him, his performance. The story's not particularly great, but it's all about his charisma. The entire movie is on the shoulders of a black man. And if he fails or people don't like him, that movie fails. But it was a roaring success. Everybody loves it. There's a fourth one coming out next year. So where's this mentality come from that you know, now in 2020, 23, now we're suddenly discovering that female characters are important, or, you know, diverse casts?
I'll give you an example. I think it comes from a place of someone's own personal guilt. They created, maybe it's out of a sense of privilege that they feel that they weren't doing enough in Hollywood. But I just saw Godzilla -1, and I've been working on a video for it. And something that I was thinking about is that everything Hollywood creates today divides people. In that theater in Godzilla -1, everyone was united. It's a genuinely brilliant film. I would say it's a masterpiece for 2023. It's not a monster movie. It's a human movie that happens to have a monster in it. And it's going back now to your question. Aliens, one of my favorites. Colombiana, another one of my favorites. Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis. We didn't look before and go, who is the lead? Is that a woman? Is that a black woman? Is that a black man? It's just, is that a great character? But see, once a company becomes radicalized and they go woke, right, it slowly infects the whole organism like a cancer. So what you have is the same people who were reviewing scripts before to push up to the boss are now interns from Ivy League schools who are leftist radicals. So they're not pushing good scripts to go, okay, I got 100 scripts in this week. Which one's going to go up to the producer? Not these. The one about the flower child who's like diverse, LGBTQ. So it's throughout the system. Everyone they hire from in front and behind the camera push a message. And when they do that, and you don't put storytelling first, you don't have anything to sell. George Lucas stated it. What are movies? You're selling creativity. Corporations don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I think audiences are a lot smarter than studios imagine. Yep. And I don't necessarily think we mind political subtext or subtext about racism or apartheid or anything like that. I mean, films that have a strong message in that sense, you know, are well established and have been successful. I think we tend to dislike having the finger wagged at us and being told we're terrible and here's the correct opinions, don't we?
The lecture. Well,
yes.
You don't want to go do homework at a movie theater and be lectured. You're paying money to be entertained. But it's the same way that when you were asking me earlier what I do on the channel, I also cover the Meghans because of their impact on culture and what they represent. And it's the same, Harry and Meghan, the same way that they impact culture, but it's more of what they represent because they have very little impact on the culture. But
I'd love to get into Harry and Meghan. Just one last question on this woke movie thing. And I don't know if you noticed that, you know, Top Gun Maverick was a roaring success, very entertaining. I loved it. I'm not sure what you made of it, but
absolutely,
because that film, to me, and Tom Cruise films seem to do this, they don't seem to engage in any culture war nonsense at all. And it's not anti-culture war or anti-woke. It's just completely apolitical. And it's a movie, exactly. But I don't know if you noticed, people were starting to describe Top Gun as anti-woke, simply on by the fact that it didn't engage at all. So even remaining neutral now seems like a transgression to a lot of these people.
It is, because remember, there is a side that says if you're not with us, you're against us. That's the way they view the world, through a binary lens. You can't make a good story if it doesn't involve something that they believe in, or it's not a soapbox that's pushing a message or an agenda. Then they view that as an enemy. And they look at Tom Cruise and films like that, whether it's Oppenheimer, which obviously did have a message, but it's a message, it's a historical one. It wasn't, let me beat you over the head with it. Top Gun.
People still complain that they didn't deal with the Japanese, the Hiroshima bomb, and they didn't focus solely on that in a film called Oppenheimer, which is, it just goes to show you can't really win.
No, I think you just have to be true to yourself, like everything else. I think Tom Cruise is true to himself. He loves making great, entertaining films. Christopher Nolan, the same way. It's about story. I mean, he doesn't care about agenda.
Do you think then? I mean, obviously, you're saying it's not really about money with studios, or that's not their motivation necessarily. Eventually, someone's going to have to look at the bottom line and see how deeply unpopular these films are. Will there be a redress of this at some point? Will they go back to just classic Hollywood movies?
Before a week ago, I said yes. I thought it would happen in 2.5 to 3 years, because it usually takes about anywhere from 2 to 3 years from something being greenlit in Hollywood till we actually see it in the theater. Going through the production pipeline. And I'm like, okay, they've really gotten the message. It's been beaten over the head. They're losing billions of dollars. So they're going to flush everything that's woke out of their pipeline, and then they're going to start producing great movies again, good stories. But after 7 days ago, when Disney put out, basically, we're going to keep losing money because we're going to push this message. They don't care. And it's hard. I had a hard time grappling with it. It's like a company has to have money to turn the lights on. But when you look who's behind them, the different investment firms, their message is, we don't care how much we lose. We have a crusade. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to have independent films. You're going to have smaller studios. Content creators are starting to fill the void. The same way that in the comic industry, you have Eric July has now one of the #1 comics. And he's an independent comics creator who's outselling Marvel and DC because he's giving the customers what they want. So you're going to have filmmakers doing the same thing. They're going to go, we're just going to focus on the story. And with all the tools that are coming out, you can do the same thing that a studio does.
That's interesting. I mean, this term superhero fatigue has been thrown around for 20 years, and it never really came. And Marvel were laughing all the way to the bank, essentially. And I'm just wondering. Obviously, that seems to be on a downturn now. And I'm just to get your opinion on it. Is this due to a reduction in the quality of Marvel movies, or are people just kind of, okay, yeah, we get it. It's an action comedy with a big third act CGI fight. We've seen this already. We're ready for something fresh.
I just think it's quality. I don't think there's superhero fatigue. I think there's fatigue of bad material. I think it's just bad movies. It's just bad, and it's not entertaining. I mean, the last film that Marvel did that actually did well was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And that was, that didn't have the best box office. But look at the Marvels. It flopped completely. So much so that 24 hours ago, Disney stated that they will no longer be reporting the box office numbers from week to week. That's how bad it did, because it lost over $300 million in its first 3 weeks because it didn't have a good script. Yeah.
And I suppose, I mean, you think perhaps they would have learned from Todd Phillips' The Joker movie. I think that was an incredibly low budget film. I made over $1 billion at the box office, if I'm not mistaken. But just listening to Todd Phillips talk about that, it seems there was a lot of studio pressure in the early stages. Executives at Warner Brothers who were looking to try and get this closed down, didn't quite understand it, didn't see where it fit into the sort of the cinematic universe, and that film could have quite easily not have been made had some executives got their way. And I'm just wondering, would it be great? I mean, should we look forward to perhaps more low budget takes on a lot of these big IPs?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, Godzilla -1, a budget of $15 million. And 15 million. And it looks like a blockbuster. It already made its money back in a week. 15 million. Hollywood, a lot of people joke, like, are they laundering money? What are they doing? How do you get a $200 to $300 million? Marvels cost $300 million, and the UK gave them a $50 million tax rebate. So how do you have a film like that when you have Godzilla minus one, $15 million, and it's already profitable? Because you don't need all of that. You don't need all of that money. But let's say, for example, have you heard of Amazon's Rings of Power series?
Yes, that was the Tolkien adaptation,
Which
wasn't it?
I'm a Tolkien lover. You could tell. So they spent almost $1 billion between buying the rights and the production for season one and setting up for season two. They had on the first season 22 producers, 22, each one getting paid. When you start charting the companies that were set up, it's like, okay, which producer has a cousin which owns a laundry service? I mean, you can see where the money is going. It's not going on the property.
Did that get a
So
second season? I saw the critical
it
response to it.
did. Which is okay. They have a contract for 5 years with the Tolkien estate to do 5 seasons. Of course, they could buy out the contract and not do it. I think Bezos just pushed it forward just for ego because it was their worst rated series ever. Only 37% of the audience who watched episode one watched the ending, watched the finale. But yet they're coming back in 2024 with season two without an audience.
Let's talk about Rachel Zegler then, because she's become the poster girl for this problem, emblematic of it. And I've got a split opinion on this. So I think, first of all, I find her obnoxious, but only in the way I find very young, confident political people obnoxious. And, you know, the NPC woke talking points that she throws out. She's beautiful, she's talented, there's a lot of privilege there, money as well, and she's finger wagging at other people. I do feel, however, that I do still see her as a young girl, and I do kind of think the pressure and the rhetoric that's coming her way and some of the vitriol is almost a bit too much. I mean, are we blowing her comments out of proportion, perhaps a little bit?
I thought in the beginning, yes, but when she continued the pattern, because, okay, everybody, especially when you're young, we all make mistakes. Doesn't matter what your age is. She made a comment. You're like, okay, I ignored it in the beginning. It's one comment. Who hasn't said something stupid? All of us.
And just to set the scene, this is her basically she's taken on the role of Snow White, hasn't she?
Right.
She kind of, in an interview in throwaway comics, basically just shat on this story in the original film and said that it needed updating, and she was basically calling it patriarchal and not suitable for today's audiences.
Correct. And so she trashed on something, but again, we have to put it in context. Context is king. Snow White built Walt Disney. He put everything on it. If Snow White, the animated film in 1937, had failed, there would be no Disney company. He bet the bank on it, his home. And it's a story that everyone at some point has either watched or read or been read to from the Brothers Grimm's tales. So what do you have here? When she first made her comment, people were like, oh, whatever. But then she kept repeating it. When you tie that then together with the comments that she started to make about the actor strike going on in Hollywood, which I think is supposed to be resolved today, and then she kept compounding it. Her biggest mistake was she put out a video where she tried to play the victim, saying everybody's attacking me and this is unfair. And she was trying to turn the tables. And I think that turned everyone's perspective around. Says, okay, this isn't a mistake from someone. This is someone who's full of themselves and doesn't have a right to be. Remember, she's done 2 films. Now with Hunger Games, it will be 3. And they've all flopped. Yet she has the ego of someone who's like, what do you think you're Beyonce or Taylor Swift or Meryl Streep? It doesn't fit. She represents what I believe is a generational clash, but she's also become the face of Hollywood in the way. A lot of people in my comments will always say she's the Meghan Markle's like little sister. I mean, they view her the same way.
That's a great segue, actually, into Harry and Meghan. And I'm just wondering, I mean, a lot of relationships end in divorce anyway, just statistically. Certainly celebrity weddings don't fare particularly well. And I mean, just in terms of how much of the spotlight they have on them, the scrutiny, that must be an added level of stress and pressure to a marriage. But given what they've said together and what they've done, they've really got to stay together forever now, haven't they, to prove a point?
Yeah, one would think so. I just don't think you can have two. I don't think you can have 2 narcissists. One I consider to be full blown, and the other one who's just kind of I would say narcissist lost. Like he wants to be something, just doesn't know what he wants to be. I don't think that can last in over time, even no matter how stubborn you are, because eventually one will turn on the other. And I think Meghan will turn on him. I mean, we can see, what do they have? Prince Harry was born a prince. That's what he has. Raised in the royal family, was loyal to his country. Then all of a sudden, he marries this woman. What did she have? The press pushes her as if, okay, here's this self-made woman. She was something before Harry. And I'm like, okay, let's really break it down. What was she? She was a working actor. 10% of the actors in the United States are working actors. They're not famous. People don't know them. They'll do a cable show. Where are the rest of her peers? Nobody knows who the hell they are. That's what would happen to a typical actor. They might do a run. If it doesn't transition, that hit series doesn't transition into films or another show, they're gone. They disappear. If she hadn't married Harry, who would Meghan be today? No one. So when you have that type of mentality, the person that, at least that we see that she represents, who looks to use people, eventually they turn and become self-destructive and they turn on their partner. So I don't think it's going to last. However long, is it a year, 5 years? Eventually, to me, it has a gloomy end.
You're located in the States, aren't you?
Yes.
I just wanted to get your opinion of kind of royalty from an American located perspective, because I mean it's pretty insane to me, royalty and monarchy as a Brit. I've always found it very bizarre, strange ceremonies, silly hats, capes. It's all a bit Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm wondering how much kind of clout that has in the States with Harry. He's walking around as an ex-royal. Does that command a level of respect, or does that command a level of cynicism from the American public?
Cynicism, more likely. But I have to separate that. I will have to say this. I was raised, my family loves the British royal family. My grandmother worked with the British and Greek underground during World War II. So we were raised the British royal family. I mean, we grew up watching Queen Elizabeth anytime she spoke. So I've always loved the royal family. Atypical Americans would be okay. They view them as a celebrity couple. They don't like the fact that the media will sometimes say, oh, it's the Duke or Duchess in here. They're like, cool, when you're in the UK, when you're in Europe, do that. Here, they get furious with that.
We don't do that here, yeah.
No, they don't. They don't like that at all. So to them, it's like they wore their red poppies on Veterans Day. Right? Americans don't do that. We do that on Memorial Day. Some people do it. So they took that as an insult. Like, why are you going to, Harry and Meghan went to a Navy SEAL rehab facility to a ribbon cutting ceremony. They're like, what are you doing there? You're a British Royal U.S. military facility. It's like, it doesn't make sense. But they didn't think they showed the same respect. It's like, so you did that for the U.S., but what did you do for, the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth? Like I said, I have a great love for my cousins across the pond.
Yeah, so, I'm very fond of our late Queen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the whole monarchy concept that loses me a little bit, I suppose. But I mean, is it a case of like there's no real precedent for this? I mean, we've had people abdicate before and leave and stuff, but we've never had this happen in the era of celebrity interest, social media, paparazzi, things like that. I suppose Princess Diana might be a slight exception there. And I mean, what are they supposed to do? We've got an ex-actress, we've got an ex-royal. What is expected of them in terms of work now? What can they possibly do?
Well, see, I think they should have done exactly what they said. They said they wanted to go and live their lives, but that would be normal. No one would have a problem with them if they had gone away to a little farm, gone to wherever they wanted to, and just live their lives, have kids, do their thing. No one would care. But again, that is what gives them away. Every time, look, do you notice that everything that they do is designed either to attack the royal family and to take away press? Every time someone in the family has an event, they hold a similar event. It's like you saw her the other day. Because you have Omid Scobie's book out, all of a sudden now paparazzi are supposedly following her when she's in a parking lot going from a gym. Come on, she's not Jennifer Lopez. She's not an A-list star. That doesn't happen. What does she have a bodyguard for? Okay, you only see top celebrities have that, or politicians.
Do you think it was particularly poor form for them to make allegations of racism and not name the people involved. I mean, so they're publicly making accusations, but not naming the people. This has the effect of inviting speculation and having the finger pointed at everyone and everyone.
Well, I think they did exactly what they wanted to, which was they made the allegations by intimating them without saying it, so everybody could draw the conclusion they wanted, so then they could then play the victim by denying it when they were attacked. See, that's the little trap that they play that people caught on to, and that's why they're angry. I think they should have never said anything. It's like, if you have family members who have done something in any family, you don't air your dirty laundry. That's number one. So I think that's why they're so despised. Two, if anyone had actually said that in the royal family, I would be like, and what family doesn't say that? I mean, my God, what were you like? What color is my kid going to be? It's like, is he going to have your skin or my skin, your hair or my hair? I mean, everybody says that. Is he going to look more Greek like my dad, or is he going to look more like, I mean, that's common. That's not racist.
I'm glad you said that, because it was going to be my next question, because I suppose in the litany of potential racist inquiries, that doesn't rank particularly highly, does it? It feels like a very modern kind of perception, a very privileged perception of what counts as racism to me, which kind of fits with, I suppose, Meghan's MO. I mean, you mentioned the word narcissist to describe her before. I mean, I'm not qualified to diagnose people with that kind of thing. I'm not sure if you are, but I mean, what kind of things are you pointing at to make that kind of?
The only reason I'm not a psychologist. I've studied it. The only reason I would point to that is, as a survivor, when you're a survivor. And again, I'm not trying to hang my hat on that. In order to survive every day being kidnapped, even though I was 7, you get an ability to read the room every moment, because your life depends on it. If you read someone wrong, they could harm you worse, kill you, do anything. So you start to learn to be able to read body language. Again, not an expert. It's just experience through life. What I call narcissism is exactly, I'll give you a point, the wedding, right? What did she tell Oprah? That they had a private ceremony a few days before the royal wedding, the public, right? That to me is an example of narcissism. And what by that I mean is, why would she reveal, after the former Privy Councilor Norman Baker said that a total of $60 million was spent on the royal wedding, coming from the British taxpayer, about $4 million from King Charles. Why would she tell the public, boo-boo, guess what? We had a private ceremony. What's the purpose? So why did they spend all that money then? That to me is someone who goes, I got my cake to eat it too. I wanted to have, the carriage, the flowers, everything that, Prince William and Princess Catherine did. But I also wanted to have my private ceremony without you. That to me is a height of hubris, the height of narcissism.
That is interesting. Well, George, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. I will definitely add that Godzilla movie to my list, of course. Is there anything else you'd like to point people towards before you get back to the rest of your day?
No, it was great being on here. Thank you for having me. By the way, it opens in the UK on the 15th of next week.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. You can find me at Twitter or on YouTube at George Moeller and Georgia Giant Slayer. I hope to see you soon.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Take care.
If you're looking for a gift, my new book, Sit Downs with Gangsters, is available worldwide on Amazon. We've interviewed over 1,000 people now, and we selected 10 of the hardest hitting stories to go in this book. Each chapter features the story of one of our podcast guests. Those stories are Shane Taylor, Knife Maniac's Redemption; John Elite, Mafia Hitman for the Gambino crime family; Joey Barnett, 35 years in UK prison; Ian Blink MacDonald, £6 million bank robber; Chet Sandu, Asian smuggler in Spanish Supermax; John Lawson, the hit team commander; David Macmillan, international smugglers Thai death row prison escape; John Abbott, San Quentin prison shootout and escape; Michael Francis, Colombo crime family capo portrayed in Goodfellas; and Wildman, English enforcer in Arizona prison. Link in description box on YouTube, available worldwide on Amazon. Also, my next book, Untouchable Jimmy Savile, is getting published in December 2023. So check that out as well. It will be available worldwide on Amazon. Thank you for listening. Cheers.